Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. You grab your phone, and a global market crash has literally just begun overnight. The numbers are in free fall. That absolute stability you went to sleep with is completely vanished. In this explainer, we're going to dive into a profoundly shifting and honestly slightly unsettling framework from our source material, the anti-fragile mindset. We're going to expose what is essentially a hidden law of reality. We'll look at why modern society has become dangerously fragile and how chaos, volatility, and disorder might actually be your ultimate competitive advantage. So, in that sudden crash scenario we just imagined, the headlines would be screaming across every screen. Mass layoffs, collapsing industries, entire career paths disappearing in real time. Almost instantly, millions of people get shoved into sheer panic and survival mode. And why? Because their entire lives, their finances, their careers, their emotional baselines were all built on one incredibly dangerous assumption: the assumption that stability is permanent. But here is the fascinating part. Somewhere, quietly in the background of all that chaos, another type of person actually starts getting stronger. While the masses collapse under the pressure, desperately trying to hold on to an old world that just doesn't exist anymore, a highly intelligent, adaptable few do the exact opposite. They don't fight the chaos. They don't panic. They quietly surf the wave of disruption and position themselves for the new world it's creating. To really understand this divide, we have to completely redefine our terms, starting with the most misunderstood one: fragility. The uncomfortable truth here is that fragility isn't necessarily just weakness in the way we usually think about it. It's actually a strict dependence on predictability. Think about an over-leveraged business or a household that relies entirely on just one single income stream. When the environment is perfectly stable, they look completely fine. But the very second an unpredictable disruption hits, they shatter. Fragility breaks under stress. Now, the natural counter to that, for most of us, is to try and become robust. Robustness basically means resisting stress. It's building up an emergency savings account or creating highly stable, rigid routines. And look, make no mistake, being robust is infinitely better than being fragile. You can survive the pressure. But robustness still has a severe limitation. A robust system merely survives the chaos. It endures the storm, sure, but it doesn't actually improve from it. It just stays exactly the same. And that introduces a radical new paradigm: antifragility. This goes way, way beyond simple resilience. Antifragility is the ability to literally become stronger, more intelligent, and more capable precisely because of stress and disorder. It is the absolute highest form of strength. It means you actually require volatility to evolve. So instead of hiding from pressure, an anti-fragile system uses that pressure as raw information and as fuel for growth. You can clinically map out how these three different systems behave under pressure across pretty much every area of life. Take psychology. An emotionally fragile person completely collapses during uncertainty. A robust person grits their teeth and holds it together. But the anti-fragile person, they learn, they adapt, and they upgrade their mental models. Or think about investing. The fragile go bankrupt during a market crash, while the anti-fragile investor actively benefits and profits from the massive volatility. Fragile breaks, robust survives, anti-fragile evolves. Let's map this directly onto the incredibly volatile 2026 economy we're heading into. Artificial intelligence isn't just a fun tool anymore. It is automating complex cognitive work overnight. Entire industries are evolving in a matter of months instead of decades. That old traditional advice to just get a safe, stable career, it's a massive trap. If your career path relies on the world staying exactly as it is today, you are deeply, secretly fragile. And this brings us to a really insidious psychological trap. Modern society falsely worships stability and hyper-optimizes for comfort. We've got an app for everything, instant delivery, perfectly climate-controlled rooms. We are so optimized that an unexpected Wi-Fi outage or a late food delivery can literally send our nervous systems into acute distress. By constantly avoiding discomfort and risk, we are slowly, quietly losing our edge. A life completely devoid of manageable stress makes even tiny, everyday disruptions feel like catastrophic events. That obsession with comfort breeds this desperate, constant craving for certainty. We spend all our time trying to predict exactly what's going to happen next. But complex systems, things like global economics or technological innovation, they are inherently unpredictable. Trying to perfectly predict the next black swan event or the next massive industry disruption is a totally losing game. It is far less valuable to try and predict the future than it is to structurally prepare for a future you cannot predict. When that unpredictable disruption finally does hit, the divide between the fragile and the anti-fragile becomes painfully obvious. Emotionally reactive people experience sheer terror during volatility, right? Their fear completely distorts their decision-making, but the anti-fragile remain ruthlessly calm. They don't interpret chaos emotionally, they interpret it structurally. They strategically position themselves to capitalize on the massive inefficiencies, the market overreactions, and the weak competitors that are suddenly getting wiped out. So, how exactly are they doing this? Through a concept called optionality. This is practically a secret weapon. Optionality means maintaining flexibility and keeping multiple pathways open. It's about building multiple income streams, diverse skill sets, and highly adaptable identities. That is what protects intelligent people from pure randomness. It severely limits your catastrophic downside while dramatically exposing you to massive, unexpected upside. Another absolute hallmark of the anti-fragile mindset is a total reframing of failure. Fragile people are terrified of failure because it threatens their ego and their identity. But anti-fragile people, they use failure purely as data. Every single mistake reveals a weakness, exposes a blind spot, or highlights a hidden inefficiency. By embracing rapid feedback and actually allowing for small, controlled failures, you prevent those massive, catastrophic collapses from happening down the line.
Now, you don't just magically become anti-fragile. It has to be deliberately designed through highly actionable systems thinking. There are 5 exact principles you need to build a life that actually gains from disorder. We have to reduce our fragile dependencies, build up diverse skills, actively train our tolerance for discomfort, control our downside risk, and above all else, stay incredibly flexible.
Let's really zoom in on that first step, because this is where so many intelligent people are unknowingly at risk. You absolutely must reduce fragile dependencies. Fragility hides inside concentration. It hides in single points of failure. If you rely entirely on one single employer, one stream of income, one social media platform to run your business, or one specific market condition to stay afloat, you are profoundly fragile. Then there's the behavioral psychology behind training discomfort tolerance, which is just fascinating. Just like a muscle literally requires the stress of a heavy weight to tear and grow stronger, your mind requires controlled stress to build capability. Actively choosing to engage in difficult conversations, taking strategic asymmetrical risks, pushing through rigorous physical training. These aren't just for show. They are necessary evolutionary exercises for your nervous system so we can handle an unpredictable world. And that psychological adaptability extends directly to who you actually think you are. The world is just moving way too fast right now for psychological rigidity. If your entire identity is tied strictly to a specific job title, a job title that might get automated away by AI tomorrow, you are setting yourself up for a devastating identity crisis. Staying flexible, having an adaptable identity that doesn't shatter when the circumstances change, that is essential survival leverage today. There is a really memorable, almost clinical realization from our source material that hits the nail on the head. The fragile pray for predictable worlds. The anti-fragile prepare for unpredictable ones. Modern society is quite literally emotionally addicted to certainty. We constantly catch ourselves hoping things will just go back to normal or stay the same. But true power, real leverage, comes from looking at the unpredictable nature of reality and preparing to meet it head-on. We have to fundamentally reframe how we view the world. Chaos, disruption, uncertainty, these are not the ultimate enemies you need to fear. For the prepared mind, they are the ultimate competitive advantages. Because history, economics, and nature all prove one totally undeniable rule. Volatility ruthlessly destroys the rigid, but it exponentially rewards the adaptable. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a deeply provocative thought, one that really forces us to confront the systems we've built in our own lives. As the world accelerates into greater complexity, faster market cycles, and massive technological disruption, will uncertainty destroy you or will it train you? That choice isn't up to the economy, and it's not up to the algorithms. It's entirely up to you.